very much live in a very limitless abundance. Can you explain that? Like, you really believe that?
Oh yeah, so it's a practice. So it is a practice to live in limitlessness. And the first step in the process of understanding living in infinity, of understanding and living in faith that there's more than enough, which is a world of value add, which if you live in a world of abundance and value add, two things happen in your life. One, you're willing to acknowledge everything you have by allowing it to be given away, stolen, lost, manipulated from you. You will lose no energy over acknowledgement. You will only receive value by acknowledging or acquiring the knowledge of what you have. There's only one way to truly know what you've had, and that's to not have it anymore. Scarcity will tell you that you have to hold on to it. You're not getting any value until you acknowledge it. After appreciation and acknowledgement, so appreciation builds this more abundance, and then acknowledgement leaves you with the bigger vessel. Now you need to learn to ask. Only people who live in a world of more than enough will ask, because they'll feel bad in asking. See, when you have faith that there's more than enough, I'm doing you a solid by asking you for help, for asking you to finance me, to ask you to, if you know somebody that could help me. I'm value adding. The whole universe is expanding. Most people live in their lives in two limit worlds. One, not enough. I grew up there, not enough of anything. I'm a victim, I'm being punished. Why me? Why do they have this? Comparison, stealing my joy every day. Or the one after I made millions, for me, everything's a trader, negotiation, a competition, or a comparison. I can outwit you, oversell you, back-end sell you, even lie to you and manipulate you and cheat you to get more, because I live in a world of for me, and then the only times I'm giving is a quid pro quo. I'm giving to receive, because I was taught by my mom, the more you give, the more you receive. Yeah, but she forgot to tell me if I don't have much to give, I'm not going to receive that much. And I shouldn't be trading giving and receiving, because they're one. So the solution is to not limit myself, and in order to not limit myself and live in the world of more than enough, I have to believe there's more than enough and there's a value add world. More than enough of everything for everyone, and that there's an unlimited, limitless infinity. I just have to get out of my way or clear the interference between me and infinity, me than more than enough. So how do we do that pragmatically? Every time I identify a feeling of scarcity, which is usually combined with a fear, oh, I'm going to lose everything. Oh, don't do that. You're going to, you got to sue that guy. These are all, I just stop. Ask myself, what world am I living in? It sounds like a world of not enough to me. That sounds like a world of for me, not to me. Or that sound. So then I just stop. I don't resist it, oversell it myself, out logic it, out analyze it. I just stop. I breathe in and out, remind myself back into the abundant world and say, wait a second, you're always being protected and promoted. There's more than enough of everything for everyone. This has always worked for you. The only times it hasn't worked for you is when you haven't realized that the pain, the setbacks, and the failures were promoting and protecting you, not punishing you. Only time you realize is that pain was the indicator to a better place, not punishment. So I stop and I breathe and I remind myself, okay, what do you want? Who can you help? Who can help you? How are you best going to get that done? And reprioritize in an unlimited sense. I'll even correct not just what I'm doing, what I'm saying, what I'm thinking, what I'm believing and feeling. I stop if I'm not doing something that's abundant, or I'm not saying something that's abundant, or I'm not thinking something that's abundant, or I'm not believing something that's abundant or feeling it. I'll just stop until I think, say, do, believe, feel that something of more than enough. Get back into the flow. All that does is accelerates it happening. What will slow it down from happening? Focusing in on what you don't have, what you don't want, what other people want from you, putting your emotions on the outcome that you think you know, which you don't have a freaking clue about the outcome. An outcome is just a trajectory. An outcome is a pull of time, meaning that the interval of man-made constructive time during the day is created by causes and outcomes. That's how we define time. Causes and effect, or problems and solutions. So by living in a world of more than enough time, an infinite amount of time, when you live in a world of more than enough time, everything happens immediately. Think about it in a mathematical sense. If time is infinite, then everything that you want happens immediately. You just are distinguishing it by man-made constructive time. And this is where all those great movies are coming out about multiverse and metaverse. And all that should concern you is I should be focused in on what I'm doing today in a trajectory to a relative future. Don't limit yourself. I even do it with numbers. If I hear myself saying, you know, I want to live to 111, I say, no, I want to live to more than 111. What if there's a technology that comes out that the average human being lives to 1,000, and I've been for 50 years telling everybody I want to live to 111, thinking that I'm some super power thinker, you know, positive optimist, and meanwhile, I get to be 100 and all of a sudden everyone's living to 1,000, and I have been thinking, saying, doing, believing, and feeling I'm going to die at 111. Oh shit. Do you know how often you do that to yourself? Thinking you're being abundant, but you're limiting yourself. It's a matter of identifying the limitation and then making the practices aligned in a trajectory of what you want in a relative future, in a relative past. What do I mean by that? The past is relative. You can give it whatever the F meaning you want. I get in Philly and I want to say the F word. I don't know why. Apologize, man.
Say PH, it's correct.
Exactly. Yeah, whatever I want. So my bankruptcy I use as my classic example. When I went bankrupt, nobody in the world could have told me that it would be one of the best things to happen to me. I wanted to kill myself. I couldn't face my friends, my family. It was awful. 14 years later, man, it's the best thing. One of the best things that ever happened to me. I give meaning to everything I see that's relative. I give meaning to everything I see that's relative. Remember that today. So I change my past all the time. I make it better and better and better and better. And guess what? The future is even more relative than the facts because there's no substantial facts, energetic, genetic inheritance. Nothing in the future can I relate to. So the relativity of the future is infinite, where the relativity of the past is factual in nature. Right? I'm studying history, it becomes factual. I'm studying my history, it becomes factual. I'm studying my genetic inheritance, it becomes factual. I'm studying my energetic inheritance, it becomes factual. Not in the future. I got no facts for the future because the only fact I have in the future is uncertain. That's the only fact I know about the future. Therefore, I am manipulating meaning and time by knowing the past is relative and the future is even more relative. Therefore, I'm going to make it a trajectory. Today is real. And the reason it's real is because we put it under the context, the limitation of man-made time. When you say today is real, there is no today without 24 hours. If I asked everyone here, how many hours in today, you all would have the exact same answer. So now we have a real time frame in which to effectuate what we want in an unrealistic future or relative future. So we want to not limit ourselves mentally for the future and then do everything that we want today in a trajectory towards that unrealistic or relative future. I use the Jeff Bezos story. Anyone hear my Jeff Bezos story? Just so I know how repetitive. It's my favorite one to prove this. 25 years ago, I had more money than Jeff Bezos and I was more famous than him. On the Silicon Valley. More people knew who David Meltzer was, and I definitely had more money than he did. If I went to Jeff Bezos' house and met him, and I said, what you doing, Jeff? He said, Dave, I need 10 grand. I said, why? He goes, well, I got this book business. I'm selling books on the internet, but don't worry, brother. I'm going to be the richest man on earth. I'm going to make over $1 trillion. Trust me. Now, I'm an optimist, even known as a toptimist. Right, the top of all optimists. I would have walked away giggling a little bit, laughing at him, scoffing at him, probably made fun of him to my Silicon Sand Hill Road friends. Are you freaking kidding me? This guy thinks he can make $1 trillion. That's impossible, let alone he thinks he's going to be the richest man on earth. He's selling books in his garage on the internet. Not Jeff Bezos. He did everything each realistic day in a trajectory that far surpassed my imagination. And now his reality far surpasses my imagination. Let your reality far surpass everybody else's imagination by being very constructive, prioritizing with your time today the realistic usage of 24 hours in a trajectory that's unrealistic. Awesome. Next question.
So obviously everyone, as cool as you and Jake are, everyone's here looking for an answer to
Good.
something they're trying to accomplish. Leaving here, what's the most important thing people should focus on, and what's the biggest thing they should avoid?
Yeah, number one, biggest thing you should focus in on is asking for help. That easy. Ask for help. Ask for help. Find someone that sits in the situation, or find a group that's at your frequency. Increase the elevation of your frequency, your neighborhood. Ask for help. If you are not really pragmatic about asking for help, I study in person, on the phone, via email, media, traditional and social media, asking for help. I look at my outbox every day as a practice to see, do all my emails ask for something? Now, do I also ask how I can be of service or value? Absolutely. But I'm asking, hey, something of someone. So number one takeaway is practice asking for help. The better you are at asking for help, I promise you, the faster you'll get to where you want to be, or better. You'll raise your frequency, elevating your neighborhood. Remember, I could have all the great talent in the world, the skills, etc., but if I'm sitting in the projects in Akron, Ohio, drinking a Colt 45 next to another guy, and I need financing for my business, probably not going to happen. But if I live in the luxury home, gated community where I live, and I'm sitting at the park bench, I got a really good chance to tell the guy who's sitting next to me, my neighbor, hey man, all I need is 50 grand. Oh fuck, that's all you need? That's what you got to ask for help. Then the second thing is what to avoid. What to avoid is a closed mind. And when I say that, is avoid a closed mind, not just your own closed mind, which we talked about, limiting ourselves in varying degree, but who you're pursuing or working with closed mind. See, nobody has a closed mind all the time. Some people have an open mind the majority of the time, some people have a closed mind the majority of the time. We want to make sure we're surrounding ourselves with people with open minds, because not only do they have open hearts and open hands, but they know people and surround themselves with other people with open minds. Most people waste 80% of their energy, their productivity, their accessibility, and their gratitude on a closed mind. I'm going to repeat that. Most people waste 80% of their productivity, value that they add, accessibility to others and what they receive, and their gratitude on closed mind. People that are bleeding them. Why? Well, because there's light, love, and lessons in everybody, and we go ahead and justify the fact that this person's my sister or my teacher or my cubby mate or whoever it is, that, you know what, I'm going to prioritize this. Instead of what? Someone who has an open mind that's going to feed you. Feed that which feeds you. Now, are there situations where you have to be around someone that's bleeding you or someone with a closed mind? Absolutely. They're called family, some of them friends, some of them teachers. Just limit the amount of time. Remember, I said 80% of your time is spent with people with a closed mind. What if we reduce that to 30% of your time? Is only spent with people that are feeding you to be more productive, more accessible, and more gracious. There's no finite, right? Even me, people, oh, Dave, you get angry? I fucking get angry every day with a PH. Every day I get pissed. I just spend minutes and moments there anymore. I don't create more interference than already exists between me and an unbelievable amount of inspiration, intellect, intuition. What do I mean by that? If you're connected to the omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing, omnipresent, then you're full of intellect, intuition, and inspiration, which creates confidence and coincidence. If I could grant you what I want to grant you, it's confidence and coincidence. What does that mean? I want you to be in the flow, inspired and confident in everything that you want, and I want you to expedite coincidences. Oh shit, man, I just said that and that happened. Oh my God, I was looking to fund my movie and I sat next down to Steven Spielberg and he asked me, what do you do? I'm like, yeah, it's funny you ask. I got this great idea for a movie, and he loved it. What a coincidence. What you pay attention to and what you give intention to, what you, remember intention, what you do, say, think, believe, and feel, attention plus intention equals coincidence. It's no accident, but it's a coincidence that Steven Spielberg sat next to you. It is no accident, but it's a coincidence. It's a universe coinciding with what you want, who you can help, who can help you, how best to get it done, and reprioritizing for you what's best for you to promote and protect you. allowing you to live in inspiration, intellect, and intuition, allowing you to apply your why, giving you more faith that you're happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy, and helping you figure out what you're doing to interfere with it. Go back and watch that. It takes time, but go back, please, get in that video, watch that part, because it may be one of the best times I've articulated that to people, and that's what will change your life. Next question. Somebody. Curious, yes.
When you're dealing with something that you're overcoming and you're riddled with fear, but you're kind of overcoming it, how do you make that transition and kind of wash yourself off and get into that new stage?
Yeah, does not happen. It's a transition, it's an evolution, it's a dissolution, a disappearance, and a dissolving of the fear. What you want is already there, right? Remember, you're happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. Everything exists because I live in an infinite world with more than enough of everything for everyone. Therefore, I want to dissolve, disappear, and dissipate any of the fear that's holding back or interfering with not just what I want, but better than what I want, because all I can do with my mental, spiritual, and physical capacity here on earth is think that's what I want. I'm going to repeat that. The best you can do on earth is think what you want. But that may not be what you're going to get, and it absolutely is not going to be what's best for you. What you're going to get is what's best for you. To teach you, to indicate to you that there's a better place, a better situation, and you're just limiting yourself by thinking that you want to live to 111 years old, but all you've been doing for 50 years is limiting 889 years out of your life, thinking you're some abundant big thinker. That everybody should, oh shit, man, that Dave Meltzer, he sure is an optimist. He wants to live to 111, die on his 111 birthday at 111. He's been telling his kids that for years. I think Dave Meltzer, the Dave Meltzer that used to say that to his own children, is a dumbass who's teaching my kids to limit their existence on earth, to teach them, my own kids, the kids who I care about as much as the source cares about me. I'm teaching them to limit themselves. That's not what I teach them anymore. I teach them every day, I'm going to live to more than 111. I still, whenever my time comes out, I still would like it to be on January 11th at 111, but talk to me at January 11th at 110. I may change my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question.
What's your name?
My name is Ephraim.
Hi, Ephraim.
Hey, nice to meet you. So as an experienced person in terms of like the sales world, as a person for the next 12 to 24 months in terms of like the world way it is, if you were looking to grow a sales company, how would you position yourself in recruiting?
Great question. So I talk about this. I do a group. He asked, what would you do if you have a sales force, you're building a sales force in the next 12 to 24 months? Well, this is my heyday now because we're getting into accelerated change in the economy, most likely an accelerated change in most of the industries, careers, and jobs to the negative, right? A downturn. Most, not all, but it's definitely going to be accelerated in both directions. In an accelerated changing economy, salespeople are the most valuable people of all. One of the things I loved about being a salesperson right out of law school, while all my ego-based friends would be like, oh, he's not a real lawyer. Dave, he's a sales guy, blah, blah, blah. Is I didn't have to get past any bars. I could change jobs anytime, states, cities, countries. And in a downturning market, I'm more valuable than an upturning market. But I don't want to offend anybody, but when all the strippers in Las Vegas become real estate agents, you think salespeople are valuable? You're a commodity. It's when nobody can sell a house that a salesperson is valuable. So this is the time to build a sales force. And how do we build a sales force? I have, over all these years of experience, created the easiest way to sell. And it comes back to what we were teaching before. One, I don't qualify by avatar anymore because our far-reaching, we have more reach than ever before. We don't just live in Philly and only have a database of 92, whatever your zip codes are here, right? That's no longer true. My zip code is the world. Someday it might be the billions of galaxies with trillions of variables, but today it's all of the world because we're connected to and through 7.6 billion and growing, a mechanism to communicate and sell. So all I'm doing, I'm not looking for an avatar, I'm looking for an open mind. And I created an open-minded, open-ended question so that I can build a community of sponsors and power sponsors that I can help and they can help me, or they know someone that can help me and I know someone that can help them. It's the best way to sell and the easiest way to train people. I have a full-time employee, no shit. His job, Rob Gill met him, by the way. He is not the most academic human being in the world. He played baseball in college, but he is just a bull in a china shop. This kid is not going to quit. He will not go indoors until his fingers are bleeding every day in gratitude. But can he sell? No. He cannot quantitatively articulate the value of what we do to exceed what we're asking for. But does he sell? He'll probably be worth more to my business than most of my employees. Why? Because I've taught him how to find an open mind and ask open-ended questions. So what does he do? Comes up to you, I'll come up to you, and he says, hey man, did you buy this on sale? And if he laughs, he knows he has an open mind. So all the qualifications done, right? Because what did I say? Surround yourself with a community of open minds because they have open hearts and open hands, and they surround themselves with people with open hearts and open hands and open minds. So after I get him to laugh and he doesn't punch me, if he punches me, I know to run away and go find someone with an open mind. But if he laughs like that, then I say, hey, what do you do? And he tells me what he does, and then I say, oh, what do you like about it? Now I get him to talk about what he likes about it, and I'm listening. What don't you like about that? Oh, I got this problem, this challenge. You know, if I just had a babysitter, it would free up 6 hours a day for me. But I'm really nervous because, you know, these services, with all that's going on, I don't want to leave my kids. My mom's a retired school teacher, Sunday school teacher. She's looking for something to do for 6 hours. She raised 6 kids. She loves kids. Would it help you if I introduced you to my mom? Oh. Do you know how much value I just gave him? Now, he's not even a prospect. He was in the solar business, and I'm looking for, you know, a stage to speak on, or for coaching clients, or for a book, something, right? So then he now knows, like, holy shit, this guy just changed my life. I just met him here at the Love Park. This is incredible. And he says to me, most likely, is there anything I can do for you? Yeah, do you know someone that can help me? I'm looking for bigger stages to speak on around the world. I'm going to be over in Europe for 3 weeks. I have 2 really high-paying speeches with Deepak Chopra and the London Real guy. Do you think, you told me your business is international, you think you could get me on another stage? Can he hire me? No. But then he says, you know, my brother-in-law is with Deutsche Bank. And I know they hire guys like you, Mr. Meltzer, all the time. Can you send me your media kit? I'd love to send it over there. Now, does that mean his brother-in-law is going to hire me this trip? No. But guess what? Some coincidence happens 5 years from now where he's watching my videos, or he started to watch my videos at least when he got the media kit, and all of a sudden 3 years later they're like, who should be our annual international speaker? Oh shit, I saw Dave Meltzer's been in Europe all the time with Deepak and Brian Rose, and we should hire him. But I ain't charging 150 grand anymore, I'm charging 250 grand. And the universe knew that. So when I'm sitting there going, oh, you know, I helped him with his babysitter, you know, the old Dave Meltzer, what's he going to do for me? I already know he did it. Because I did everything. Right, be kind to your future self. That's a real example. So once again, you know, come every Monday, man. We meet for taking advantage of the recession online. Ask Q&A. We network every day for people that can help with people. Take the 5 daily practices, get my open-ended templates, all free. Just email me or DM me, whatever you want to do. I'm happy to help all of you. I'm scaling myself that way, and it works really well. It takes on a life of its own. But that's the most powerful. I've gone through solution selling, spin selling. I created my own 5 to Thrive system. You know, I spent years teaching people how to qualify the exact avatar. You know, anybody knows sell to the lowest hanging fruit? That does not exist today anymore. All that exists is 7.6 billion people that can help you, and you can help. And we surround ourselves with the ones that are willing to help by finding one qualifier. Do they have an open mind? Because we don't want to be bled. We want to be fed. And we want to feed people. And only open-minded people can be fed and will feed. Closed-minded people do not want to be fed, and they do not want to feed. Because they have closed hands, closed hearts, and closed minds. Great questions. Get in the shade if you need to. I was worried about the rain. Poor Rob. You can sit down here, Rob. Unless you want to lose 10 pounds. Better than a sauna. Come to Dave Meltzer's Meetups. Learn a shitload and lose 10 pounds.
You had mentioned there was a time in your life where you would fill a void first and then be chasing versus giving value, which would be the byproduct would be filling the void.
Yeah.
Can you explain that difference? Because that really landed with me because of certain things I had done in my past.
Yeah. So when we live in a world of scarcity, there's void, shortages, and obstacles. And most people pay their attention to filling the void or overcoming the obstacle or challenge.
Yep.
Right? And that is a scarce attitude. And let me give you a good example pragmatically of this, which may help you.
Yeah.
I think RFPs, requests for proposals, is a classic example of this. So what happens when you have a request for a proposal for a big opportunity? Right now we have a challenge. There's a void to fill, right? I got to get that RFP, tons of time, energy, emotion. People don't think about it in the way that I do. I always would take those, right? And I wouldn't take the time to find out. Usually an RFP happens in two situations. See, I'm more interested than interesting now. So what I started to do is go to the companies that have RFP and said, how does this work? And I learned from the companies, different companies, that one, they take 5 companies and they already know who they want, and then they use the other 4 to squeeze on price. So this company has a 100% chance of getting the deal, and these 4 companies waste their time, emotion, and value as price pawns to lower the price on this guy. All 5 of these companies lose because they're squeezed down so low it's not worth their time, because they could be, if they same amount of time, after considering the RFP process, all the chasing, and then getting the deal, they're with people that are bleeding them, not feeding them. The second situation is even worse. Well, what we're trying to do is figure out the market. We're trying to learn. Yeah. So what we do is we put out a thing, and now all 5 companies lose because all they're doing is kicking tires and wasting your time and having each company give them the perspective of questions with no intention or budget yet set. This is the exact analogy of what people do to fill a void, right? They get so excited about the challenge or the void. Oh my God, Boeing, I have an RFP from Boeing, and they don't ask, am I the #1 guy or not? So how can you ask if you're the #1 guy? So remember, the #1 guy has a 100% chance, they have 0 in the first scenario. But the problem is they're going to be bled because they get squeezed down and have to put so much in to get the deal that they're better off, if they had to go through that, going to find a different 5 deals in the amount of time that have bigger margins. It will equal more than the 1 RFP with Boeing. So what do I tell people? Classic example. I said, whether you know you're the #1 guy or the number 2, 3, 4, 5 guy in an RFP situation, or you're one of the 5 in this situation, you don't even have to know it anymore, because I shifted my paradigm and I said, I'm not going to fill the void, the obstacle, and do the RFP. You know what I'm going to do? Is go to the Boeing and say, hey, Mr. Gill, I appreciate the opportunity for your RFP, but obviously I haven't articulated the quantitative value to you to exceed what I'm asking for at the price I'm asking for. I don't know how me going through this process would be any more significant than I'm capable of doing, so we're not going to participate. Now, if I'm the #1 dude here, they're fucked. Because they got no room to negotiate. All they're going to do is chase. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now I know, if they chase me, I know I got them. I'm not going below my perceived value. We're not getting close to my bottom line. And it took me no goddamn time. If I'm one of these 4 guys, they're not going to chase. But remember, I don't know which one I am. So because I don't know which one I am, statistically I have a 1 in 5 chance. I have a in my mind, I have a 20% chance. Now, if they chase me, I know I got it. But I don't know that. So in the aspect of this mindset, in business, a pragmatic tool, if I walk away and I'm one of the #4, most likely they're not going to chase me, 1. 2, I don't have to do the RFP. 3, I know I probably had even less than a 20% chance of getting it. And most importantly, by going out and finding open minds, I will have at least a 20% chance of finding new business that pays higher margins that I'm more aligned with, and I don't have to, again, do the RP.
Yep.
In every scenario, what I change my mindset to is abundance, faith. Look, it's quite easy for me. I know in a sale there's perceived value and bottom line and my ability to articulate the quantitative value to exceed what I'm asking for. I know that I need to stimulate interest by finding open minds to transition interest to share vision with that person or people they know. There's no missing, there's no void shortages and obstacles, there's no fear. I hold the truth. I hold the truth. Simplest negotiation. I used to, Lee Steinberg has written one of the best books on negotiation. The guy who wrote the book, the hostage negotiator guy. Those are all scarce negotiations. You don't got to negotiate like that. You got to just let someone go. Look, here's my perceived value. How much is it for you to speak, Dave Meltzer? I'm 100 grand. And stop. Oh, that's out of my budget. What is your budget then? Oh, we don't have one. Then call me when you do. That's abundant thinking. Not, oh, well, really? Do you feel the scarcity in it?
Yep.
Now, if it's a charity, right, I know my perceived value. I'm 100 grand, but for charities, I speak for free because I'm funded by companies that pay me 100 grand. Would you mind making a donation for my book as well so I can raise more money? Right, I'll sell my books at wholesale. And what am I doing? I'm planting seeds under trees I may never sit under, but they're learning Dave Meltzer, following Dave Meltzer, and they may know someone that's the CEO of a big company that'll hire me for 100 grand. But I'm not hiding from the companies either if they come to me and say, hey dude, I heard that you spoke at the Unstoppable event for free. You're fucking right, I did, and you paid for it. Because I know my perceived value and bottom line. My bottom line can change during circumstances. If Rob Gill, my friend, or Devin asked me to speak, then I can coordinate with other things, and yeah, of course. But if they go below my bottom line, if Devin tells me, Dave, right, I got this group that I'm charging money for, they're rich guys that do this, and you can help them and make me money and them money, well, what's the budget? Well, I don't really have a budget, Dave. Well, I'm not gonna come. Would you mind donating books to my charity or to this organization, and I'll come because I'm on my way to a meetup and on my way to a high-paying corporate speech out in Westchester. This is real business. This is real ways of not focusing on the void shortages and obstacles, not creating resistance, not thinking it's a quid pro quo, that you're trading and negotiating, even giving. Just know you, right? If you know your perceived value, then state it and be able, what creates confidence in creating a perceived value when people are like, how much? Is the ability to articulate the quantitative value to exceed what you're asking for. The more confident you are, the more confident I am. You hire me with 7,000 franchisees for 100 grand, I will increase your EBITDA $1 million by a week. I will, because I know the tools of engagement, production, accessibility, and gratitude. Imagine 7,000 franchises more productive, more accessible, and more gracious. Imagine how much more revenue they're going to create. I'm not stupid. I guarantee it too. When I walk off that stage or a week from now, you didn't see a quantitative value or a difference, then just take your money back. I've never coached a person. Rob will tell you because I coach with him. Joseph will tell you. Devin will tell you. I've never coached a person but for month to month. And I guarantee every month they're going to make more money. Not all the superfluous subjective value. Don't buy into subjective value. Why? Because there's always subjective value. That's why it's called subjective. Everything I do is a memorialization, not a binding agreement. Rob and I had a friend that a third party of mine who was using my name illegally was making money and ripped the guy off. And my first thing to Rob was, hey, if I can't get the money from that guy, tell him I'll take care of it. That's abundance. Why? Because I know eventually it'll all come back to me, not trading for it, but this is the right thing to do. It wasn't his fault. It's my name. And the guy's clever, right? He did send me a finder's fee. I just didn't know how he set up the deal. This happens all the time. I could fight sue him, service was bad, all the shit that you could do. I ain't wasting my fucking time. I'm creating a better relationship because the guy's going to respect me, number one, and want to do more business with me, and we're both not going to do business with the other liar. And I'm not going to go after him either. I'm going to pray for his happiness so he doesn't rip anybody else off. This is how the abundance, right? And I talked to Rob when it happened. I said, dude, I had to stop. I said, you may not have seen it. My first reaction was, bam, how dare, everybody. I was ready to sue everybody initially in the first minutes and moments. Not days, weeks, months, and years. Just minutes and moments. I was like aggressive. And I'm like, I'm abundant. This will work in my favor. Awesome questions. Keep them coming.
Dave, I got it.
Yes.
Callie misses you, and there's a question from California. Tyree,
All right. Hey, Tyree.
Oh,
Hi, Tyree.
Oh.
hit that.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. I can't hear her. There, go again. I love that. I love that. All right, so Tyree asks, how do people get started in investing in their future? So you have a small business and you're past the survival state, which takes about 90% of the time. If you get to breaking even in your business, you're 90%, however amount of time that is about 90% of the time that's going to take to get profitable, and then whatever time percentage of that profit, it'll keep doubling if you get better at what you're doing and be consistent in what you're doing. Most people quit before they get to the 90%, that's the problem. Because they think good behavior should happen instantly, they think bad behaviors will never take effect. Terrible mindset. But what she's asking is, when I get to that point, how do I prepare for the future of investing in myself, not just pouring back into the business? And this is a problem I see all over. I've seen people build huge businesses and not invest in themselves, and they end up literally, their family and friends, with no ownership on the exit or a big raise.
That's right.
They get, so you have to ask for help. There's some things that I told Rob today, he goes, why do you think you lost all that money? He said, because I was financially illiterate. And I said, not in respect that I didn't know debits and credits or how to balance my checkbook, but I had no idea how wealth or how to invest in myself. So what would I do? I'd let people I supposedly trust that were ignorant and arrogant, they say, oh, buy this stock, oh, invest in my company, oh, right? I had an opportunity with one of my friends recently. I invested $50,000 because I trusted him. And it worked out better than he anticipated. Minimum exit with Goldman Sachs, $350 million. And I own over 5% of the business. Yeah, but then he did the squeeze and he took a 20% management fee. All the same bullshit that out of abundance. So my wife got pissed and she wanted to do all that. I'm like, look, may all my worst investments, make 3.5 million on 50 grand in a year. If I really wanted to stop that from happening, I would have went through the operating agreement and held it. But at least I was financially literate. So what do? Find someone who sits in a situation, right? A few of these guys here today sits in a situation that you want to be in, or their clients sit in the situation that you want to be in, and ask them for directions. Right? If you want to make your money in real estate, then find someone that has held real estate for a long time. If you want to do it in insurance, if you want to do it in annuities, wherever it is. You can make money in different vehicles, but you got to find the right people that aren't just trying to create their own wealth.
That's right.
People push products because they have high commissions that are not going to get you where you want to be. You got to find people that either sit in a situation or have clients that are in a situation that you want to be in, or both. Literally, and don't just give it to them. Let them explain to you in math why. Have them explain the rule of 72, compound interest, tax benefits, social security, ERC. How many people here are small business owners? Okay, how many people have applied for their ERC? That's normal. 1, did you get a credit? It's about $26,000 for employees. If you have any employees and you've maintained having those employees for 1 quarter even, the government will give you money back, about $26,000 per employee. And your accountants are telling you you don't qualify. Why? Because they don't know about payroll, and 2, they don't want to look stupid, so it's easier just to tell you, oh no, I know all about that, you don't qualify. I've had, the guy we're going to see today that I'm speaking, over $1 million in his account and told him he didn't qualify. Email me, I will get the link to you. It takes 10 minutes to apply. If you have a small bonus, 80% of small businesses in America are qualified. We got to learn to take care of the money we do have besides the money we want to have. These are the simple things, and guess what? You think that, oh, Dave must know all the. Guess what happened to me? Why do I know about ERC? Because somebody told me about ERC and said, Dave, you have all these employees in COVID. Did you apply for the ERC? I said, what's that? Employee retention credit from the government. It's like PP. I'm like, what?
It's tax law though. It's not PPP.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's tax law. Yeah. And so I'm like, I know a guy, right? Let me talk to my accountant. My accountant immediately said, no, Dave, you make too much money, you don't qualify. So then I didn't do it. Then another guy said, Dave, don't trust him. I have all these clients. I said, oh, dude, then do it for me. And he did it for me. He's like, oh, $226,000. That's a big, I fired my accountant. I said, not because, right, I fired him because he's ignorant and arrogant. And he's not humble enough to illuminate the fact of what he was. Like, I want an accountant to say, I don't know about that. I'll either find out or ask somebody. That's part of a fiduciary and a financial planner's duty. There's no way they could know about everything. So, all you guys that didn't raise your hand, email me. I'll introduce you to the guy that applied for me. He knows exactly how to, if of the 80% of you that qualify, it's significant. Now I got a quantifiable value for at least some of you being here for an hour. Awesome. Next question.
Forgiveness, Dave. You forgave yourself. You lost everything.
Yeah. Forgiveness is one of the most important things in my life next to gratitude. Gratitude gives you perspective. Obviously, I told you perspective is important because the past is relative and the future is relative. So my perspective in the past and the future are extremely valuable. But forgiveness is the second most important thing because forgiveness is what clears the interference between you and everything. So when you have a need to be right, a need to be offended, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, resentful because you lost everything including your mom's house, forgiveness brings me peace and clears all that interference and says, okay, you've been blessed. You are just learned a huge lesson. Now use it to make more, to clear more interference, because obviously you have the potential. You made over $100 million. Now let me clear the interference that's stopping you from making more than 100. That's what forgiveness does. I study forgiveness every day. The best text that I found for forgiveness is the Course in Miracles. And the whole basis of the Course in Miracles, which I've studied for 7 years and it keeps on unraveling in front of me, different meanings, is forgiveness. The power of clearing the interference through the greatest vehicle of peace, forgiveness. Think about if you had forgiveness for yourself and others, how easy your life would be if you're capable of doing that. Look at Chris Singletary, the kid whose mom was killed by the skinheads, and in a church group. And it was during the riots of Baltimore, and everybody thought, oh shit, here we are in Charleston, South Carolina. They're still hanging the Confederate flag at City Hall in Charleston at the time. And this 19-year-old kid who stayed at home in South Carolina, played baseball for South Carolina, comes home after practice to the church to add to the end of the study group or whatever his mom as a minister was doing, and some ignorant, arrogant kid, fearful, hurtful kid, because only hurt people, killed his mom and everybody in this church. President Obama himself at the time was so scared that this kid was going to come out and attack and accuse and live in hate and fear himself. He thought the riots were going to break out. This 19-year-old understands forgiveness more than me. All he did was come out and say, I forgive myself because there was nothing I could do to change this. And I forgive him because hurt people hurt people. I forgive him. Nothing happened except for it unified the community, didn't separate it. It unified the community, and on its own, they decided it'd be right to pull down the Confederate flag from City Hall. With no protests, no fighting, no attacks, no looting, no violence, no hate. Forgiveness is so powerful. Gratitude number 1, forgiveness number 2, accountability number 3. And accountability has evolved for me. I used to think I was so enlightened. And when you guys meet me next time in Philly, you'll probably hear the same thing. Oh, I used to think I was so enlightened, but I used to think I was so enlightened. I used to say accountability. One of the things I learned from losing everything, I'm accountable. What did I do to attract this to myself, and what am I supposed to learn from it? I thought that was so wise. But you know what? It's scarce. Because somehow I think I'm big enough that I can do something to be punished. Not if there's an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that loves me more than my mom. There's no way I could do something that my mom would want to hurt me. There's no way I can do something that source is going to want to hurt me. So I changed accountability. What did I do to participate in the perception, your perception or mine, and what am I supposed to learn from it? Right, I'm participating. I participated in my bankruptcy. I participated in the evolution of my bankruptcy. I participated in the post-bankruptcy. But I have not attracted anything in that respect. I participated in it. I'm not being punished. I'm being promoted by my participation. And the better I participate, the better I'm promoted. The faster I'm promoted. What did you do to participate in this perception of what's going on, circumstance, event, person, and what are you supposed to learn from it? Now you're being promoted and protected. No punishment. Gratitude, forgiveness, accountability allows us to live in inspiration by effectively communication with source and others, being connected to and through. I know you don't feel connected, but the bigger picture physically, if you study physics, quantum physics, and metaphysics, is that the space between us is far greater than us. So how can we not be connected? See, we're just part of what you can't see. The space between you and I is far greater than you and I. So we're actually part of what we can't see, not what we can see is holding us apart. We're a part of what we can see, not that what we can't see is holding us apart. When you can shift the paradigm of everything that way, that you're just part and parcel of everything, not being separated from everything, you've already now taken a huge step to shifting a paradigm of faith, of abundance, of all the things that we're teaching. Last question.
So I'm fourth generation in a family plumbing heating company, and I got to run the jobs 6 to 2, and then I'm out, 2 to 8 at night doing payroll, bidding, estimated jobs, because I can't find somebody to do both, and I'm having a hard time. And I'd like to scale the company because there are companies around here that just paid $15 million for a small outfit.
Oh yeah.
And I'm kind of stuck right there right now.
Okay. Great point, because we look at buying companies like yours for that very reason, right? Is that, now, the interesting story about plumbing to me is my plumber, same situation in California, and he came out to fix the toilet, and I'm like, damn, man, my brothers are doctors. I wish I would have taught him how to fix my toilet and make a lot more money. Yeah, and the guy looked up at me and said, that's funny, I went to med school, became a doctor, and figured I'd make more money doing this. I'm kidding. All right. So this is, whatever business you're in, this is a business that I'm going to get into the recession, which is why I want all of you, if you can, join my recession group. There's so many businesses like yours that you're so busy working, you're not making money. Because it's almost impossible to find the right person to do those things. So what you're better off doing is in ad hoc hiring a consultant, a coach, that just gives you the people. Like your issues take me a few hours. I already know the services, the thing, and when I reconstruct that and open you up and now you scale to 7 that, and then I even know how to help you exit. This is the classic takeaway where we started, which I'm glad it's the last question. The question that my friend asked here was simply, what should we do when we leave here and what should we avoid? You should ask for help. Find someone who sits in a situation and ask them for directions. That's why you're here. Email me. I will either help you myself or hand off to another coach that I know that will solve that problem so fast. The analogy I'm going to use to finish up is Chris, right? Chris is funny, right? Because all day long he's sitting in front of helpless fools like me going, this is so easy, right? He's at my sinks, my toilets, he's saving my house from flooding, and he's like, this guy's not even a real man. Like, I don't even know how that lady sleeps with him. He can't even fix the sink and thing keeps dripping. My dad taught me this like when I was 4. Right? No, seriously, I see the look on the plumber's face, bro. Right?
Yeah.
Mom says she wished she could build more.
Exactly. But I know, right, there's guys that are plumbers on my side, right, that I can listen to that and say, oh, dude, you know, all I do is screw this, do this, and, you know, that's all you need. Ask for help. You being here is not a coincidence, right? And mark this on that camera. This guy, I promise you, in 3 years, when we're a year away from the bottom or a year back up from the bottom, we'll have exited his company, either working with me or somebody I know. We'll have exited his company and make more than most doctors on earth. And all he's doing is healing your toilet. Although Jake's dad's a proctologist, so he heals my toilet too.
David.
Yes.
Hi, Andressa.
Hi, Andressa.
How are you?
I didn't. Oh my God, in person. This is Andressa.
Hi. We talked about scaling, right? And we're on the point of we are firing ourselves from every single position that we have and growing a team. Now, managing teams is a pain in the ass, man. Many times. It's hard.
Yeah, because there's people in overhead. Anything with people in overhead is a pain in the ass.
It is. So my point is, how can you really scale, but from the team perspective? And there is a growth. I think we are in a transition right now, implementing systems and process, and we are in that tipping point.
Yeah.
Any recommendation for?
Yes. Recommendations on scaling, real quick. Time is your biggest problem in scaling. If you feel like you're not scaling fast enough, that you feel there's shortage, voids, or obstacles because you're scaling too slow and there's so much opportunity, and yet I have little capability, and so you feel all this pressure, I gotta scale. No, you can't. There's always, no matter what you guys are doing, there's always way more opportunities, options, and touches of favor. So in order to scale, we have to understand compound interest and aggregate growth. The only way you scale, in my opinion, is to start by having, and I don't know how many managers you've already put in, but have enough people that have watched you for a period of time to make them capable of working with you, to allow you to supervise, to allow them to have someone shadow them, to work with them, and allow them to supervise. Contingent upon being very clear on your values and your daily practices of your activity you get paid for. I'm telling you that too many people try to scale and they lose their businesses because they dissipate, dissolve the values and the practices that made the company scalable. Because they're so worried about the fact that there's so much opportunity, I'm leaving money on the table. There's always money on the table. Remember, we live in an abundant world of more than enough. Your job is to prioritize within the context of getting the most done for the most amount of money that you can. Not getting everything, because you'll never get everything done. And the only way that we prioritize in scaling is to create a system starting with one person. I just need one person. It started with me, you know, in the sales side with Jake. Jake, at least 1 year, just listen to me, right? Then you started to work with me, right? You'd be like, Dave, join me on the call, but you led. Then I just listened to Jake. Now, Jake has Nick. Nick is working with Jake. Now Jake is supervising Nick. And pretty soon, Jake's hiring another guy. Now I got 2. Then it'll be 4, 8. Now, Has there been more opportunity for me and Jake? Oh, we could look at it as what was missing, what we didn't have, what we didn't get. Instead, I'm focused in on, I am prepared to keep on growing, and it may not look significant to all of you, but when I go from 4 Jakes to 8 Jakes, that's some big money. 1 to 2, most people aren't going to shake at. 2 to 4, I may not have to work again just off of Jake, but 4 to 8, my grandkids don't have to work. And yes, I can't do that overnight. I can't just hire in. I've tried the hiring inside. They don't know the values and the daily practices well enough. You're going to dissipate, dissolve, or disappear. That's why so many companies blow through money, because they think they can scale with money and people that aren't value-based or practice-based. All right, let's take a picture, everyone. Does everyone have my email address? David@dmeltzer.com. If not, DM me, Google me. Augusta, you live in Florida, don't you? You live in Florida, don't you? Oh shit.
Another FPH thing.
I thought, I'm like, it's so funny. I kept looking over at you, going, how do I know